I'm here talking with my good buddy Ernest Hudson Jr., who is the owner-operator of Anatomatrix Fitness at anatomatrix.com. Thanks for joining me. How was the omelet?
No problem. The omelet was very good. Thank you very much. He made breakfast with me.
Went heavy on the mushroom today with a little bit of yellow pepper, but that's not even that important. So tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into fitness.
Okay. All right. Actually, I've been physical my whole life. Competed in sports in high school, did martial arts as a kid, martial arts as an adult. Came into fitness, I should say I've always been involved in fitness unconsciously because it was just something I did.
Yeah.
I got into it in this incarnation, primarily because I got married. And
okay.
Yeah, well, I was in a career transition. I was doing something else entirely. And women have a strange way of not being pleased when their husbands don't have jobs.
Hello.
So I had to figure out a way to make some money. Figured working in the gym was a quick way to get some money. My wife actually was a spin instructor and personal trainer.
Oh, right, okay.
So she introduced me to a gym, New York Sports Club in New York. Started working there as a personal trainer. Didn't think much about it.
Mm-hmm.
As I got into it, started meeting people who had injuries. Had to learn about those injuries. And then it opened up a whole new world for me that I pretty much fell in love with.
Yeah.
And I've chosen to stay here.
Cool. We talk about this a lot. How do you view the state of the industry right now in the United States, the fitness industry in general?
Actually, fitness to me is at a very interesting time because it's all growth.
Mm-hmm.
I often say when I teach fitness classes that it's not infantile.
Yeah.
If it's infantile, you understand what the baby's going to be.
Right.
Fitness is largely embryonic.
Embryonic.
Yeah, we don't even know what this thing is going to
Right.
become.
Right.
I've seen programs at NYU and others, and they've revamped and changed things over the years. And certainly with fitness specifically, we're still getting new laws affecting us.
Mm-hmm.
People are reinventing themselves all the time. So we really don't know where this is going to go. And I think that's a great thing because that means we can largely define it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not being defined for us. We can be active participants.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. We talk a lot about the target client or the niche client. Is there a specific kind of clientele that you found in your experience in fitness that you're looking to work with over another, or is that a loaded question?
It's actually very twofold.
Yeah.
When I first started training, the idea was just to get bodies.
Right.
Get people who want to train. And a lot of that had to do with being in a gym environment, large chain environment. Mm-hmm. What I found over the years is that for some reason, my largest clientele has always been Caucasian women over the age of 60.
Really? Okay.
I have no idea why.
Yeah.
I do ask why, which is a good question for those of you doing personal training. Ask why.
Yeah.
And they just say very personable. They like the way I instruct, give the information, make them feel very comfortable.
Yeah.
That's always been my largest population. However, lately I've been defined as a special needs trainer.
Oh, I mean, how do you define special needs as far as?
Well, the way it's been defined for me. The way it's been defined for me. I like puzzles. I think it's my personality.
Mm-hmm.
I like doing things like Rubik's Cube, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So when I get clients who have issues, back issues, joint replacements, shoulder impingements, spinal fusions, whatever the case might be, those things are interesting to me because you have to take into account special considerations to make the workout work best for them.
Sure.
And I think because of that avid curiosity with that, people refer people to me. I got a friend who, in fact, I just got a guy. He has a right branch block for his heart. Right. So and I go, oh, that's interesting. And so that piqued my curiosity. I met the guy. He also has a spinal fusion and some other things going on, and that poses some interesting situations in personal training. So when I say special needs or special populations, for myself specifically, it's amputees. I've been working with amputees, people with some sort of coronary heart challenge, and a lot of people with either joint replacements or spinal fusions, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that brings me to the next question, which is the state of the different certifications in the country. We always talk about the alphabet soup of different certifications. I mean, we both have certification from NASM, for instance. Speak a little bit about your specific educational background and how you've been able to apply that to your client base, if you will.
There is a certain group in any industry that will tell you that education, going to learn your craft, and I do believe fitness is a craft, is not really necessary, and certainly if you have whatever credential, it's not really indicative of the skill sets.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I am not that person.
Right.
I believe that the two go hand in hand, and certainly in a growing industry, credentials become a potential indicator of the skill sets that a person has. For myself, I came into this incarnation of fitness with a martial arts background, so I had some basic understanding of anatomy and physiology, some basic, very basic. But there's a lot that I really did not know. My formal education began when I began to train for my first CPT with NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Okay, and CPT being certified
personal trainer, correct. Yeah. And then as I started doing that got me very familiar with some very basic concepts in personal training. And then I literally read the bibliography in the back of the book and started picking up everything. And so I went through a number of different specialized certifications. I went back to graduate school. My undergrad is actually in film.
Yeah.
But I decided I wanted academic credibility, so I did a master's program in exercise science. My emphasis was performance enhancement and injury prevention. And so that was the formal education. As far as how it helps me now, I ultimately believe that if you sell hamburgers, you have to know how to make a hamburger.
Yeah.
You have to understand what went into that hamburger and the nature of the burger. And likewise with fitness, you really need to know the human body.
Do you find that as when you're dealing with as anatomatrix, the methodologies that you use go back to your knowledge base as far as program design? In other words, when people come to you, obviously, there you go. What makes I think that is what makes anatomatrix a little bit cut above, in that you're going to get that program design background as opposed to a cookie cutter kind of situation.
Definitely. Everything is fitted to match the client, what their specific needs are. And yeah, I consciously sit down and say, let's look at the needs of the client and how do we have to modify appropriately to help them reach a particular goal. I think if there's something that makes Anatomatrix unique, and I like to believe that modifying for a client should not be unique. That should be our standard.
Yeah, I would think so.
I like to believe that what makes Anatomatrix unique is the fact that we focus on education. So even if it's a training session, the goal is to educate the client, make them conscious of what's going on, so that they can reproduce it themselves. Essentially, I try to chain myself out of a job.
Yeah. Now, again, how is your experience as a public speaker? I know you've presented a number of occasions. How has that affected your ability to go ahead and instill that in your clients? Meaning, as a speaker, you get a lot of feedback, but maybe you can speak a little bit about the experience of talking to people about fitness and how it relates to actually having them take it home with them after they've trained.
It's helped out phenomenally because I'm speaking to fitness professionals largely. I'm teaching certification courses, continuing education courses to fitness professionals. So there has to be a certain level of proficiency and articulation. So when you speak to a layperson, the average client, it's easier to convey the information because you're used to speaking at a higher level. So that helps out phenomenally. But I have to say, for those of you who don't know, while my name is Ernest Hudson, I'm also known as Ernie Hudson Jr. So I was a professional actor for a number of years. I was trained as an actor. And perhaps those skill sets help even more so.
And I've always said that. I've always felt that, I mean, that as being an actor and you play the part of a trainer very well.
Sure, yeah. And there's even just in the training of an actor, and if you haven't taken an acting class, take one. Because there's things that you learn in terms of how to present yourself, how to project the voice, how to articulate. Those things help out phenomenally.
Just talking about trends, what do you feel, if any, are a trend in fitness that might stay the course as opposed to a fad? Or what do you see, or what do people come to you and say, I saw this on TV, or what do you feel are going to take us to the next 5 years as far as personal training? For instance, I do a lot of kettlebell training. I do a lot of functional training, bodyweight training. How do you feel about that, or what if any, feelings you have on it?
Ultimately, I go, if there's any trend, the trends are not new. Recently I was in the city and there's something called the bartenders. And it's these gentlemen, and actually some women as well, who do calisthenics using street lights and poles and the cross lights, and they're doing pull-ups and chin-ups. And I got to say, these guys are incredible. And so that's every summer it becomes the new trend because it's summertime,
right.
so you can do it outside.
Urban.
So, but it's not new. These guys have been doing this for years. There's books that might come out on calisthenic exercise or kettlebells, but these things are really rehashes of things that have happened before. So I don't think there's any new trends. It's just maybe you didn't hear about it, so it might be new for you. But it's always been around. In terms of fads, for me, a fad is something that to the layperson makes sense, but in the face of science, it doesn't make sense. That's how I define a fad. And so things like the perfect push-up and other things, they're really not maximizing anything differently than if you did something else. It looks like it, but it really doesn't.
I think you hit on a good point too about Anatomatrix, and I know you personally, but Anatomatrix too, is everything is based has scientific backing and peer-reviewed research to kind of back things up. And if we can't, then we'll kind of go into it as in kind of, let's see how this works, but it's always grounded in our research. So.
Yeah, most definitely.
Well, that's all the time we got because I got to make another pot of coffee. But thanks for taking the time to speak. Where can people reach
Facebook page. So you can go to Anatomatrix Fitness, ANATOMATRIX Fitness on Facebook. We also have a blog page that just recently went up. AMATRIXFit.blogspot.com, amatrixfit.blogspot.com. And so those are the two primary places of presence that we have.
Great. All right. Well, all the best.